Hi, everybody who's joining us live. I'm Steve Stott, president of the Sherman Players, and this is Keep the Ghost Light On from the Sherman Playhouse. And I'm joined by my co-host, Robin Frome. Give a wave, Robin. There we go. There's Robin raising the roof. Tonight, we have a wonderful, eclectic set of guests. We have Matt Austin, who a lot of people in our part of Connecticut will know. In fact, just about everybody in our part of Connecticut knows, from police
Police
blotters,
departments,
exactly,
postal,
things like that.
office, pictures.
They all know him. We have Jamie, Judge Jamie. There we go. Judge Jamie, she calls herself. There we go. We'll be hearing from her. And we have Lucinda and Michael, top-notch rock star beat combo for you kids out there, who will be telling us all about their experiences with the world of performance and COVID. Before we kick off, a couple of little updates which you probably have seen in the news. Broadway will be shut through at least May next year. So, as we've said before, theatre in the US isn't Broadway, but it is a good indicator of the general mood. And clearly, the population who rely on Broadway for work will certainly be hurting to hear that it's taking so much longer to open than anybody really imagined. So we'll keep watching that and keep our fingers crossed that things do actually work out for that. The other bit of news is slightly better, and that is Connecticut, where we are based at the moment, is opening up to phase 3 of the COVID reopening plan, which has a significant impact on live performances, as in we can now have more than 25 people in an auditorium. That really only helps if you have an auditorium that can hold significantly more than 25 to start with, but it does give options for local theatre. That's very very good to know. How that impacts live performance of music is maybe slightly different, and we can maybe touch on that as we talk to Lucinda and Michael later, who I'm sure have some views on the way that that's all going. So that's enough for me. Let me turn over to Robin now to introduce our first guest. So over to you, Robin.
Hello, how are you? Good to see everybody here tonight, and appreciate everybody that is on tonight. And it's been interesting juggling people, trying to get some interesting viewpoints from different parts of the performing arts. We're going to start with Jamie. She is also called Jamie Damaso, and I think she has a third name, right, Jamie?
Weisberg, yes.
Weisberg. And Jamie and I were, we met each other, actually it was about a year ago, formally, because her husband was starring in Cabaret, and we needed to do a little shifting of gears at that time, but he was wonderful when he did his parts during all those weekends, and that's when I met you. And then we kept in contact for a while, and we started talking about what both of us were doing, and it was great to hear about your Mystery Dinner Theater taking off. And so what I'm going to have you do is just talk about some of the highlights in your career. You can go, timeline if you want, or you can spot them here and there, pepper them in, and then and how this wonderful pandemic has affected your business in one way or another. And some of us are in different parts of the performing arts at the same time and cobbling together certain things. I know you do that as well, as according to your resume. So take it away, Jamie.
Well, thank you everyone for getting together tonight. I really enjoyed watching these. I don't get to them live, but I do like to watch the recordings. So yes, as Robin said, I am Jamie Weisberg Damaso. A few other last names I've collected, as well as husbands along the way. You know, I add and subtract as I go. But yeah, I'm an actor from Central Pennsylvania, from the Harrisburg area, and about, I hate to say it, but 20 years ago, I got my first paid acting job in a local dinner theater. And coincidentally, it was in cabaret. And I thought wow, I've really made it. I'm actually getting paid to do a show. And then the woman who owned the theater, she came to me and she said, I need you to do a murder mystery for me this weekend. And I said, oh, absolutely not. That's not my thing. I don't do improv. I am a big Meisner devotee, and I just can't. Truth be told, I don't feel like I'm creative. I'm not funny on purpose, and I can't let myself go enough. And she very clearly told me if I liked my job, if I liked getting paid for acting, and if I wanted to continue it, I would do the murder mystery. So I did. And it was trial by fire. And because of the group of people that I did them with, it was really fun. And they held my hand through it. They took me under their wing, and I ended up loving it. I still hate improv. I'm still terrified by improv. But these mysteries, I've always found very fun. So when I moved up to Connecticut about 9 years ago now, I let the booking agent know that should he ever have any jobs up our way and had trouble booking from Harrisburg through the theater owner, I could perhaps do that. And I missed doing the murder mysteries. So I would organize volunteer ones or to profit the kids' schools, or, you know, anything nonprofit. I would volunteer those. And a few years ago, he had a few double bookings and he had me cover them. And I realized how much fun it is to have complete control over this production that I'd been part of for 20 years. I could change things, I could improve them, knowing it from the acting standpoint. And they were a huge success. I do have a tendency to go above and beyond. In my former life, I was a banker. So transitioning to the stay-at-home world, I missed, you know, attention to detail. Yeah, so I eventually transitioned to getting all of the contracts for the murder mysteries. And that booking agent, he's since joined Neon Entertainment, which is a national booking agency, booking mostly through colleges. And yeah, at the start of the pandemic, the agent that I've been working with reached out to me and said, hey, do you think maybe we could figure out how to transition to this virtual world? I said, well, couldn't hurt to try. So in April, we tried, and we've been very successful. And now I've taken it over, and we have, oh gosh, we're averaging, I want to say 5 to 10 a week at this point. It's gotten a little out of control. I thought this would just be a fun project, and it very quickly became something where I now have a responsibility, because I have actors that I employ now, and they're actually getting paid during this pandemic. And it hit me without realizing it. I've created an opportunity for them to earn income. And now it's no longer a fun project. It's a responsibility that I have. Yep. One of the things that I changed when I took over was I really focused on the actors, because that's the point where I came from. And I paid them more. For almost a year, I had negative income for the murder mysteries because I was investing so much in the actors. But it really paid off more than I could ever imagine. I created a core company out of this community of actors. And had it not been for them, I wouldn't have the talent resources and the ideas and the hard work of these actors that are now this community. You know, Robin, it's funny, you had mentioned when we met, and it was during Cabaret when my husband was the MC, and it's just a week past exactly a year ago. And how we met is the second weekend that my husband was supposed to go on, that Friday morning, he suffered a massive stroke and he was airlifted to Yale New Haven. And I knew that I had to contact somebody at the theater to let them know that he wouldn't be there tonight. And the only name that I could think of was Robin's, because he's all over all of the media, all of the outreach, the publicity, all the community engagement. So I Facebook messaged him because I didn't have a cast contact list. And Robin just immediately went to work, taking care of me and my children, in addition to taking care of the performance aspect of it. Had it not been for that community, I would have never gotten through that. At the time, we had a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. We had no family in the area. And just the support of that. I'm happy to say my husband is back and better than ever. He doesn't let anything stand in his way. But had it not been for that community, I really don't know how I would have gotten through that. And it's that same sense of community within the acting world. That's the reason that I was able to make this transition to virtual and make it so successful. And it's also the reason I have an obligation to keep going and to make sure that it stays successful and that I continue to give these jobs to the actors when the jobs are few and far between. So that's where I am in this pandemic. And it sounds terrible, but I'm busier than ever. I think almost because of the pandemic. I'm no longer limited to geography. We do performances around the world. We had one at the Royal Air Force Base in England a few months back. So I feel guilty in a way that we are succeeding because of this horrible thing. And that's, you don't know how to, it limits the joy you allow yourself to feel when you have these successes, because there are so many people that are just, their lives are just devastated by this around the world. And, you know, but I do know that we're just so lucky. And I know that it's because of this community that we have. Again, I do have to explain my name says Judge Jamie. That's the character that I play during these murder mysteries. I don't allow myself to change my name lest I forget when we're during the in the performances. I'm hosting it as Judge Jamie. So my apologies, but if I change it, I will forget to change it back.
No, that's great. And well, as you say, it's an ill wind that blows no one any good. And I know Robin also is finding his opportunities. I don't want to speak for Robin particularly, but he's finding his opportunities for acting coaching expanding, because you know the only option is online, and if you're online, you can be anywhere in the world. So you know the reach is necessarily further. So I wouldn't feel guilty, especially if you're providing employment. One of the things you mentioned was the community and the way they supported you during that time last year. One of the topics we talked about last week that really came out, and we kind of ended on this, was just how the arts community and the performing arts community does look after itself, as in, you know, there are always people to try and lift you up if there are opportunities. You know, there are people out there who will help you achieve them. So it really sounds as though you've landed in that place.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And everybody is lending their talents beyond the acting. I mean, I am a very tangible person. I have everything is something that I can touch. Even my files, my accounting is all, I don't use QuickBooks, anything like that. So this whole digital environment, that was really something. I'm constantly learning how to do all of these things. I don't know any of it. And everybody has come forward with, hey, I can do visual arts and I can do this. And really, it's just such a community effort to get this going. So
I absolutely. And those of us who are involved in running theatres or having to organise stuff, we're looking for ways to get something out there. As I think I mentioned earlier, the release of the restrictions in Connecticut is great, but for certain theatres, it doesn't make a lot of difference. We still have to look for new ways to present what we've got, and there's a whole bunch of actors, professionals, amateurs, the whole range, who just want to do something, who really just want to be getting back on with what they do. So the impact of COVID initially, I just want to ask you about that. When everything hit, so back in March, when everything shut down and Broadway shut down and you can't do this and you can't go there and you can't do whatever, what was your initial reaction?
Initially, like I said, at this point last year, we had a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. So we hadn't gone out at all for a long time. And we'd actually just started going out a bit. We had been going back into the city. That was a almost weekly thing for us before we were married. And we started to come back to that. But I thought, well, okay, it's just a little bit. So I thought, and my husband, he's a computer programmer, and he had just transitioned to doing all of his work at home. And I hadn't done theater for years with the pregnancies, and I said, well, I mean, we're always at home anyway. I thought, well, we'll be fine. And at first it was just being empathetic to seeing everybody else, what they're going through. It really starts to take its toll on how you feel, even if your situation isn't quite that bad. But just seeing it keep going, especially having so many friends in the city, how their lives were changed so dramatically, so quickly, how they've all lost their work, how they've lost family less than a month in.
I think we've lost Jamie for the moment. We'll give her a second to see if she comes back, but I think she's frozen mid sentence. So we will. I think what we'll do is we'll move on, and we'll come back to Jamie when she can connect again. I don't know whether she can hear us, but Robin, you may just want to ping her and let her know that we know she's frozen up there, and hopefully she'll join us back. Should we move on?
Yeah, Steve, why don't you introduce Matt, and
I'll introduce Matt.
I'll ping her.
Yes, I was looking forward to introducing Matt. Matt Austin. Matt and I have known each other for about 2 or 3 years. However long ago it was that we were in Peter and Starcatcher, and we kind of knew each other slightly before that. But I must say, when I first got involved in theatre around this area, I kept hearing the name Matt Austin. There's Matt Austin this and Matt Austin that and Matt Austin the other. Who's this Matt Austin? He's either very active in theatre or he owes a lot of people money. And I kept hearing the name Matt Austin, Matt Austin, Matt Austin. And eventually, when I met Matt, I remember thinking, oh, I thought he'd be older. He thought I was going to say taller, but he thought I'd be older, and I did. But I've got to know young Matt Austin through shows, the show that we did, and also because he is so active in local theatre. He is a co-host of Cocktails and Curtain Calls, which I think is now an occasional series, but was very popular on local community TV. So he's got a lot of experience in doing this kind of thing, so he's judging me all the time. And all I want to say now as we cut over to Matt is cheers. Over to you, Matt. Yeah, you need to be off mute though first. You
He's
do need to be off mute. Over to you, Matt. We can't hear you. You're on mute.
There we go. Hey,
There you go.
there we go. I
This is a
assumed you hit
professional,
mute
professional
because,
broadcaster.
well, I figured you kept me on mute because you know me, and I would have kept interrupting you.
There is that. Look, over to you, Matt. So tell us about how you got into theatre. I know you've had some experience adjacent to Broadway in that world. So I'd love to hear about that as well.
Yeah, so let's see, where do I start? I really got into, I started doing theater freshman year of high school. It was kind of my parents saying to me, get involved with something or get some friends. Still don't have friends, but I found theater. So that's good. So I did a production of Peter Pan, and I've never left since, which is great. I graduated from college, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be an actor, and went to the city, and that was not for me very quickly. Luckily, I found out very quickly it was not for me. Within a couple of months of auditions, I was like, nope, no thank you. So I found a theater adjacent, Broadway adjacent job, as Steve said. I started working for Group Sales Box Office / Broadway.com. They kind of merged together. I was the manager of attractions there for a while, and the director of education, where we would do education programs. We'd partner with Broadway shows, off-Broadway shows, and provide education programs for students around the city or students coming into the city. Things like, if your high school wants to learn the choreography from Kinky Boots by Jerry Mitchell, he'll come in and do a workshop with you, that sort of stuff. So I did that I was in the city for 8-ish years. And then, long story short, I decided, you know, I really want to do something that helps. Not that I'm not helping people, because that is in some aspect helping, especially with kids if they want to go into the arts. But I got a job with the Women's Center of Greater Danbury, which is the domestic violence and sexual assault crisis center in our area. They were looking for an educator and someone to take over their Act Out program, which is the theater education program. And I was like, well, that's perfect for me. So I went to do that. So that's where, and then in the last couple of years, I've shifted to be the director of education there. I was just an educator. Now I run the whole show because no one's left. I just want it by default. No, I really enjoy it. Skipping back, while I was in the city, I started doing improv with Upright Citizens Brigade. I graduated through their school there. I performed there a bunch. I really got super into improv, maybe too much for Steve's liking when we're on the stage together. But or not just Steve, a lot of people that I'm on the stage with. So after UCB, I did some improv around the country in different places, and I always come back here. This is my home, Connecticut. I will always be here. I've been acting for 21 years, 100 something. I lost track a long time ago of how many shows I've been in. Regional, community theater, dinner theater, murder mystery dinner theater. Jamie's still on. I did a lot of that. What else? I've directed a bunch of shows. I write. I'm one of the in-house writers for the New Britain Youth Theater. So we write children's shows. My writing partner and I write a show a year roughly for them. What else am I missing? That's it. And now I'm here. And obviously, since you brought me onto the show, thank you for inviting me. You've obviously run out of guests, so
we're always keen to have the unusual, and it's basically Ripley's Believe It or Not tonight with you. But just one question: TheatreWorks.
Yes.
You left TheatreWorks out, so they'll be coming after you. They'll be coming after you with Pitchfork. So you have an opportunity to give us a little bit of your background with TheatreWorks and what TheatreWorks are up to, as much as you're able to at the moment.
Yeah, I've done a lot of theater around here. There's one theater I've not done any shows at, and hopefully that will change soon, Mr. Stott.
It's not for want of asking, is it?
No, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm very busy. I'm a very busy person. I have a ukulele. It's everything's crazy. But Theater Works. So I've been on the board of a handful of theaters in the area. And I just, in 2012, funny story, not funny story. For years, I auditioned at Theater Works, and they were like, no, 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 boo, boo, boo. That's probably not what they did. They just didn't cast me. And that was like my holy grail. I was like, I want to be a part of that. And finally in 2012 or 2013, I don't remember when it was, I did Boeing, and I got super involved with Theater Works here in New Milford. Now I'm on their board. I've directed there. I may be doing it again very soon, and some other things. Yeah. So I love what you and Robin are doing here, because it's just the arts in any form, to get that awareness, especially during the pandemic. It's just so important to be like, hey, we're still here. And I think Broadway's having a problem. People are kind of ignoring that. And a lot of people are out of work. Like you were saying before, that not just Broadway actors or musicians, theater adjacent, like my friends at Broadway.com, my whole department got wiped out. Like you don't really think of the costumers, the lighting people, the concessions people, like ticket people, like it affects so many industries. Yep. Yeah, so thank you for doing this awareness sort of thing and reminding people we're here.
Well, one of the goals when we first kicked this off was for this to be a sort of forum, a support group, a way of bringing that community together, and it's developed out of that, so that we get some great guests and great stories. But obviously, the common thread is the impact of COVID and the restrictions that everyone's placed under. One thing I think that Jamie touched on, and in your line of business in the real world, you're faced with trauma, and you're faced with human difficulties. At this time, there is a great awareness of the sort of the mental health impact of COVID, the restrictions, and I wouldn't want to sort of get you talking about your professional life, but outside of that, with in theatre, how are you observing that? And I mean, are you aware of people who are struggling in that kind of way because they have no other outlet?
Definitely. I mean, my first reaction to this whole pandemic, I think it was a little severe, but I was like, my life has been taken away from me, because I have been so deeply ingrained in the arts, and then the arts were like, nope, you can't do that anymore. Yep. But that's actually false. We've come to realize that we just have to adapt. But I think it was really hard for a lot of people, including myself at the beginning there, of like losing our livelihood. Like I for the most part, I mean, I have been paid to do theater and things like that, but for the most part, I do it, like you said, for mental health reasons. I do it to kind of have that outlet, to let that out, because my work is so heavy generally, that I need something like that. So it's, taking at the beginning, taking that outlet sort of away. But luckily we, and the folks that I've been in contact with, have found ways to sort of express ourselves and or do theater or improv. It's not the same, but it's something to keep us busy and just in it.
Absolutely. And I mean, you've got a background in improv, and as Jamie says, she's kind of been shoehorned and forced into improv against her will. But that's something which can work well in this kind of a format. As far as being able to react to each other.
The mindset itself, the
100%.
willing to be vulnerable and take chances that an improv actor
100%.
is familiar with. That's crucial.
Yeah. What are you going to do when your screen freezes and no one can
Your
hear
power
what you have to
goes
say?
out.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. Right. Well, thanks, Matt. Stay on because we're going to continue this
No, thank
conversation.
you. I'm just kidding.
We know where you live, so we'll carry on, and we'll go over to Lucinda and Michael. Robin, would you like to introduce Lucinda and Michael?
Sure. Hello, beautiful people. Hi, Lucinda. Hi, Michael.
You're on mute at the moment.
You can't mute them.
Yeah, they will need to hit their unmute button. There we go.
Hit your mute button. There you go.
There we go. Are they with us yet? We've silenced the rock stars.
That can't happen.
I didn't. Who muted us?
I muted you. I'm in control. I'm the boss.
If there's a microphone, it's never going to happen.
There you go. There you go. Over to you, Robin. Would you like to?
Yeah. So Lucinda and Mike did a concert at the Playhouse.
Right.
You guys remember when that was? What year that was?
Oh, let's see.
2015.
No, maybe 2012, maybe?
12.
You think?
Oh yeah. Okay, I thought it was way back then. Okay, that's when my first year of being president. So that was for the Animal Welfare Society. Am I right?
We did that for them, and then we did the songwriters stage with you.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah, we had a great house for that too. Yeah, we had a couple of up and coming writers come in, and then we took the rest of the night.
Right. So I saw you guys twice. I remember most of it, but I remember fondly, very fondly. Was it Saturday in the Park? You guys were
Yeah.
That was a really
Nice.
good cover. That
Well,
was a really good cover. I really enjoyed that. And I'm a goth guy, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, just fantastic people, incredibly talented. And I remember I've been in touch with you guys, and there was a big move to Nashville, or is that a back and forth thing?
No, it was a tour.
It was a tour.
We
yeah.
did a documentary on the road. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it was like, okay, Nashville. All right. Remember the small people here. So,
It was a short-lived tour.
It was very short-lived.
Yeah.
We've been back a couple
you guys, you were local from Sherman, and now you're still kind of local in Northwest Connecticut. And I really appreciate you being on.
Thanks for having
And it's
us.
great because performing arts, obviously, everywhere, and we have not really had, except for Trans-Siberian Orchestra Man, we have musicians on in plenty, and this is what you guys do. A lot of recording, a lot of touring, and so give us sort of a synopsis of your highlights of your career, and then this wonderful pandemic, and has it affected you one way or another?
Sure. Do you want me to take the timeline?
Sure, take it.
All right. So we both grew up in Newtown, so we're local. We met 15 years ago,
Yeah.
something like that. We both had, solo careers outside of each other. We came together as Lucinda and Michael, and started writing together and touring and performing. And we did probably over 225 shows a year. So we were constantly doing this. In 2011, we decided that we'd give up our day jobs and do this full time, because we were doing the day jobs and shows 5 nights a week. So it was a little crazy. But as we started to grow into this entity, we decided that we would open our own studio at that point, and we're kind of an all analog couple. So it's a tape format studio that we had over the years. So while we were performing, we were recording our own music, we were selling our own music. We pushed about 65,000 CDs out of the trunk of our car just by playing live shows all over the place. And we were as grassroots as you could possibly get. So over the years, we were very fortunate to get a lot of attention in different ways, and performed with some really amazing legendary artists like Carmine Appice from Vanilla Fudge and Steve Katz from Blood, Sweat and Tears and Ricky Byrd from Joan Jett. And so we had, you know, this kind of circle thing going on that was great. And we landed in New Fairfield, right? And because from Newtown, we went to New Fairfield and on the Sherman line there. And we had our first studio in a 10 by 12 tool shed and started to record our records out of there, our albums out of there. And then 3 years ago, we moved to Litchfield and had our studio in the lower level of our home here in Litchfield, which worked out well until the neighbors started seeing famous people coming in and out of our door. And then they all wanted to come over, which is, you know, great for us, but not so great for maybe the performers that were coming and going. So in January, right before everything hit, right, we rented the old Nutmeg Ballet Ballroom in Torrington on the third floor on Water Street, and completely revamped 3,500 square feet into our 1,600 square foot live room. And the rest of it is green room, dressing room, control room, all analog. And we had our program all set to go. It took us from January to March to renovate and to get all our equipment in there. We had our last jam on like March 11th or something, just to test out the room and get the frequencies and stuff like that. And then that Monday, the state shut down. So here we are with this gigantic, beautiful studio, looking at each other, going, well, what do we do now? Because we were recording all of these people and it became, you know, masks, social distancing, you know, people were just holed up in their houses. Nobody was coming out. It was, you know, barely anybody at grocery stores. Nobody was going to come record music. And we just sort of had to make a decision.
Well, we had a lease, so we kind of had to stick around for a little while.
We couldn't leave.
Whether you like it or not.
And we had moved how much equipment up there?
Oh my, everything, pretty much everything we own. Oh yeah, the other thing is it's third floor.
Yeah.
No elevator.
Yeah.
Big, heavy equipment, tape machines, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we moved everything up and got everything going and just kind of waited around, did some of our own stuff. And maybe 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, the phone started ringing and it never stopped.
So yeah,
It never stopped. I think with everyone being holed up for as long as, I mean, like Jamie said, it's like you don't want to feel bad about working when nobody else is, but this is what they wanted to do, man. People write songs because they got nothing else to do. The musicians are out of work, and here we are.
so on the live music end of it, our 200 and something shows a year completely came to a screaming halt. We hit the wall doing 60.
Yeah.
You know, we couldn't go out and play live. And so we tried to figure out, well, we've got this beautiful place now, what else can we do out of here? And this is the analog man, totally. Like he breaks my computer every day when he turns it on.
Yeah, I know.
So the digital
I've been
world,
advised not to touch anything in front of me.
Right.
To sit here and talk and.
yeah, the digital world is not his thing. So I guess maybe 3 months in, I don't know, somewhere around July, we decided we had to find a platform to live stream out of the studio and try to figure out how to do that by putting, you know, all the digital components together and stage lighting and sound and video crew and all of that. So we were fortunate to find a great relationship with No Cap Shows, which is a platform company. And we did our first stream out of the studio on August 23rd with the Almond Betts Band. So we had Almond Betts come in and it was amazing. You know, it was just incredible to see our Red Room Sound Studio worldwide, you know, in the stream. And then just before that and just after that, I think we started to get super, super busy with projects. And I would say from July until really now, we're lucky we have tonight because we made plans to do this, but we've been working almost 7 days a week in there. right?
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, I'll take it, and I feel like we're helping people,
Yep.
in whatever way we can. Because I mean, come on, man, we're all artists, and you know, this is what we do. And obviously, we do it. We all do it for the love. There's some money in it, but it's, you know, we do it for the love.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we heard from a few weeks ago. We had Jeff Tui on the show, and you know, his view before this happened was that he was a live performer.
Yeah.
He wanted to play, and you know, but he found himself engaging with sort of the digital streaming. And effectively going straight to his fans, going straight to the people who really wanted to listen to him, and also engaging with them because of the way the streaming platform was. I mean, have you found either significantly new sets of followers, or have you found that you're able to engage with your existing followers in a different way because of that?
Well, there's two things there. So when you stream, you immediately engage whoever's watching you at that moment. It's kind of like instant gratification for you as a performer, but also for your fans. I have watched a few streams where people get lost very quickly if the artist doesn't have that personality to engage them, but just to sit there with a guitar in their lap or something like that and just boom, 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 then song after song. When you have this, they want to have a conversation with you. They want to have to feel that you're actually looking at them while you're performing, right? And so it's very much like acting. You know, you're totally giving your personality and your style to the person who's watching. On the recording end of it, we're finding that a lot of people wrote unbelievable things during the real height of the pandemic. And it's a place and time that you're at when this is happening, right? So if you don't get it down on tape or on Pro Tools or whatever format you use, it doesn't matter. But it was that time period. You have to find a way to frame that, because 3 or 4 years from now, when the memories fade of what it was really like, you go back and you listen to that and you'll remember. And I think that that's really important to a lot of these artists that are coming in. We've been so busy with the renovation and getting people in, we haven't even had much time to do anything on our own, you know? So, but we watch a lot of the streams that do go out, for sure.
Yeah, we've again, Robin can speak to this as well, that we've heard from a lot of our guests about how this period has been an opportunity. It's been not just an opportunity for finding a different way to work and effectively being able to capitalize on that because you're in the right place at the right time, but from the point of view of creating new material, you know, playwrights who are writing new stuff, songwriters who are writing new songs, or able to record stuff, be able to take a breather and use that time. So it sounds like you're kind of at the you're at the receiving end of a lot of that now.
Right now, yeah.
For now, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, who knows, man.
That's right. And I think with theatre, once theatre comes back, I think there's been a consensus that there's going to be a blast of new stuff.
I hope so.
Yeah, and I'm quite sure that it'll be a blast of great stuff and some not so great stuff that comes out of it. But it's creativity, which is the main thing. And speaking to to Matt on this as well, you mentioned that you write and you have a writing partner. Are you finding that this is an opportunity for you, or did you feel it stifle you
No, it's funny you're talking about that because I had, I write on my own and then I write the children's plays with my writing partner, Anthony. But I've had this idea in my head for like years. And it was a case of, all right, well, I have the time, I'm sitting down. And I did it because, and I had the time to go back and fix and things like that. And I really, it was good for me at least. Some people, I have some friends that write theater and they were like, no, I just can't produce anything. And you know what? That's okay. And I was like, yeah, that's okay if you're not. Maybe you just need to turn your brain off for a little bit and take a break, and maybe down the road something will come. But for me, it was like, all right, I'm going to hunker down and do this because this has been in my head. And I did it. And I can't talk too much about it, but it might be happening if we ever get theater back very soon.
Yeah. Oh, I'd look forward to seeing what it's all about. And Robin, you can kind of comment to that as well, because you've been extra busy. So you've been doing more.
Yes, and revamping new things. I'm sorry, old things. Revamping
old things. Yeah, and, old things through new windows or whatever it is. Yeah.
New windows. And,
yes.
The one I'm working on, Steve knows about this. The one I'm working on is, I think it's really going to work on Zoom. I really do. I think it's going to work. It's a two-hander, and it's going to be a very interesting. It'll be challenging, but it'll be a very interesting, creative way of doing it. And I've said this before on this show and in other places, is that I think some Zoom is not working for theater. A lot of people run into that as well, and unfortunately, that happens that way. But I think you got to think about what really works. The other thing I wanted to say, and this is to Jamie and Lucinda and Michael more. Is Vietnam War was horrible, and how many great songs came out of that. I don't think they sent back the money that they made off of those songs.
Am I the only one old enough to remember that war, though, on this panel?
Well, we had history classes, right? So.
Yes, I'm wondering where that came from. I'm feeling quite good about it myself. Jamie, I'm not so sure.
Jamie,
Matt's loving it.
This is great. This is great for me.
If you want to,
what was the Vietnam War? What was that? Was that a thing?
If you want to stop, if you want to stop at the Falkland Island War,
Exactly. We'll go through that. That's even too long ago for Matt.
That it really, I mean, we never thought that Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young were capitalizing on a problem that was happening. They were feeling it and they were writing about it. And those songs are, I know where you have young people here, but they're still out there. They're still, huge. And I think
they get royalties.
They still get royalties, absolutely. And
to that point, though, Robin, one of the things, like with our entertainment company, that if I manage artists or agencies with artists, I've told everybody during this pandemic, this is the time, man. You hone your craft, because someday, whatever we want to call normal again, and the competition is going to be fierce for any kind of auditions or labels or any of the things, in the arts, and cream is going to rise to the top. You got your stuff together and you sound great and you know what you're doing.
Yep.
And the people that aren't taking advantage of that right now, that are still kind of sitting there going, I look good, or I'm really awesome, instead of really, really taking a look at what they should be doing, how can they become just a little bit better or tighter or more involved in their craft, right? At the end of this thing, that's where the competition's really going to come.
Right. And the other thing about, we had a television writer on a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying, we are all being told, do not write a movie or series or anything about COVID, because it ain't going to sell, because nobody wants to watch that. But during the time, it could inspire you
Yeah.
You know, right. And I think that's what you're talking about. There could be, you know, this stuff happening like 9/11. A lot of that we couldn't go, we couldn't see it, we couldn't watch it, we couldn't write about it even, you know, we couldn't record it until we could, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good way to look at things. And that's why I you know, you guys are providing a service. These people are coming to your place. You're saving them from going wacko. You know what I'm saying? You're saving them from so much angst that's going on with this whole thing. I mean, I'd be there if I was writing music, you know. So
You should come up anyway.
Yeah, you should come see it anyway.
I
One of
will.
the things too that we have to say though is that when everybody's in the control room listening back to something, everyone is masked. The live room is 1,600 square feet, and it's very
Right.
easy, even with a full band, to socially distance everyone.
Right.
So we're doing things very safely. In a much smaller place, it's a lot harder because as a vocalist, right, you know, we project.
Yes.
And, you know, they say 12 feet. Well, I'm going to sing 25 feet into your face easily, you know, so we make sure all of that is taking place. I mean, we try to be as careful as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Super important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that I think one of the things we've seen from the local theatres is that clearly safety and responsibility is key.
Mhm.
You know, we can't open at Sherman, and I know it's the same with other theatres because, you know, partly we don't have the space to make it economically viable. You know, if we can only fit 35 people in the theatre, it doesn't really become viable. Also, we want to keep people safe. You know, we want to make sure that we have a responsible attitude to all this, not just the theatre goers, but the actors and anybody who actually works in that situation. So, you know, I applaud you for you know, making sure that that's a priority for you guys. We've covered a number of threads here, which have really, again, sort of come back to the fact that that the arts will find a way. You know, there's always a need to innovate anyway. No matter what, there's always a need to innovate because audiences attention spans differ, and audiences' tastes differ, and ways of serving up material differ. And now it's just an extreme circumstance of that. And as Robin says, not everything works in this format. We're having a nice cozy chat that we can transmit, and that works very nicely. You know, does all theatre work like this? Maybe not. As Robin says, you've got to pick the material and make it work in this environment. And I think, you know, Robin's already sort of mentioned the project he's working on at the moment, which I think we can give a world exclusive on Keep the Ghost Light On, and that is that we will be staging one of Robin's one-act plays, and we'll be doing it in a Zoom virtual format. Robin, would you like to tell everybody what it's called?
Yes, it's called. It's a lot of working titles, but right now it's called Little Death Song, and it's about an aging rocker, an aging one, Lucinda, an aging one.
Thanks, Robin.
He's not helping, is he? He's not doing any good.
I love him.
Right.
I know.
I covered my ass on that. Anyway, so she's and she's getting haunted by a fan that committed suicide to one of her songs.
Wow, this really is like her, isn't it?
I hope not. I hope he's not a specter right there. So,
Yeah.
But what as I was
Stalker? Did you say stalker?
yeah, that's the next one. But as Steve was saying, and I was saying that basically in the beginning of this, the woman will be putting on her makeup for the show that night, and on the other side of the Zoom camera, the ghost that is haunting her is looking right into the mirror. So that's what's happening. So they're talking to each other.
Oh,
it's actually
awesome.
It's very funny, and she's very like Susie Sue, right? And she's from Brixton, and the actress is Kimberly Marcus. She's great.
Except she will sound like she's from Brixton.
Oh, you're burnt, Robin.
Ooh, burn. But I'm producing, so I can say these things. We're really excited to do this. The plan at the moment, as it all comes together, is to present this at Halloween. We may have a few other tidbits to perform around Halloween as well. So that should be a fun time for us, and it's really our first return to performing from the Sherman Playhouse, since pandemic hit. So we're quite excited about being able to do this.
Oh, you should be. It's awesome.
Yeah, we've been, we have been quite picky about what we tried to do, because really we wanted to see how all this worked out. Partly because, who knows when it's all going to finish. We know it's not going to finish for a while, but also, as we've said, not everything works. So it's great to see what does work, what doesn't work, and we've had a lot of interesting observations from our guests on the show that have really kind of pushed us in certain directions. So that's been a very positive thing for us. So. Fingers crossed, and we'll see how it goes. And we should be starting pushing publicity out in the next couple of days. But you heard it here first.
Yay!
There you go. You heard it here. Robin's very happy because he's had to keep quiet about it for a while.
Yeah, too. Yeah.
But,
if you need any spooky characters to come pop in, our big one right now is Halloween. So.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you must be working sort of incredibly hard.
Too much of a good thing. Yeah, the agents they said, just theoretically, can you handle 2 casts going at once? I said, there's a lot of actors that really want work right now. Sure. So now there's some nights where we have 3 casts going on at the same time. We have some nights that are 5 shows booked in one night. It's not only double casting, but it's just one right after the other. In fact, they've only scheduled them an hour separated, and it's at least a 70-minute performance.
Ooh.
So we are actively getting additional company members to join us for these. So Matt, I think maybe I'll have to talk to you after. So
I've done a lot of shows with your husband, so he knows how bad I am.
I think we've been in a competition together too. So
have we? Wait.
I believe when you won NACA, I got a special prize. I was a pigeon puppet, thing.
Yeah. Okay, I knew.
So you were the pigeon puppet that beat Matt Austin in a competition.
No, they created an award for me so it wouldn't take away from their show that got literally every award. So.
Oh, fantastic! Well, everybody who's watching this, and will watch it as it sits on Facebook, who loves to act, will be thinking, how do I get hold of Jamie? So, do you have a website that anyone can go to? You can give it a shout out.
Well, you can come like and follow us on Facebook at Theater Nerds. We currently have, I believe, about 500,000 followers. Or you could just email me directly at jamiemweisberg@gmail.com, JAMIEMWEISBERG. But I'll
I'm writing that down
in the comments.
She said it too fast.
Yeah, no, I'll put it. I'll type it in for the comment on this post.
Yeah, we'll make sure we publicize that.
Jamie, Jamie, are your actors all equity, or do they have to be?
No,
or?
I'm actually talking with someone at Actors Equity at the moment, because I do have some friends that are equity that would like to join us. But there's a little bit of a gray area because this is improv work, and it falls under the comedy, which is technically not standard under the Actors Equity. So if there are equity members, well, I'm working on getting these special agreements for each performance. But otherwise, it generally, we work with improv and comedy actors that don't typically have the contract. But I am working on it to get this.
But if you do need somebody, you know, Matt is available, and as you've seen, he can talk about anything at any time. If you know, so you know, he is good. He's very good. Even I have one little story about Matt.
Oh no!
Peter and the Starcatcher. We were reviewed by the press, and Matt and I were very pleased to hear in the review it said, you know, he played the Black Stash and I played Smee, so we're a bit of a partnership. And in the review it said, you know, young Matt Austin and Steve Stott are worth the entrance fee alone. Oh, we thought that's great, that's fantastic. Except it was pay what you want night.
Yeah, it was pay what you want night. Yeah.
And obviously the reviewer hadn't paid anything.
No.
So that said it all really for us.
Love that.
But
Michael and Lucinda, do you have are you guys booking gigs now at all?
We haven't yet.
Yeah, not yet. Where'd you go?
There you are.
There you are.
My agent's calling me. So Jamie, I'll call you later. Anyway, so do you feel that you were going to be looking for that, or is that all dried up for now?
Well, I mean, at some point I think we will, and right now we're just kind of focusing on this you know, the studio, which really it takes up a lot of time.
Yeah, what's the name of the studio?
It's Red Room Sound Studio
in Torrington.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that red room or red rum?
Red room.
Oh.
No, but when we were painting the walls red, we did write red rum.
You might as well. Yeah. And so you get to go back to Litchfield. You don't have to stay there in Torrington. When you were talking about when COVID hit, you were there. I was hoping that you got back to Litchfield at some point.
Well,
yeah, we did. No, we did. Yeah, so it was just one of those things that we had planned so many things, and then
we had a big grand opening, and you know,
we had celebrities coming, we had the mayor cutting the ribbon, we had everything going on, and then it was like, you know.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Right.
You know, it's all.
If I can ask you guys, I mean, obviously it's not just the two of you. When you do resume live performances, there's other people involved, everyone that doesn't get the applause. How are you going to decide when they say, oh, sure, it's allowed again? It's something that I'm struggling with. You know, we've had opportunities to do stuff live where they say it's, you know, precautions are being taken, but I said, oh, no. I can't have anybody decide between a job and their comfort. How are you thinking about what's going to be, you know, what does that situation look like where you do decide you will put yourselves out there?
Good question. I mean, I guess it depends on the situation, you know, and where it's going to be, how many people, are we inside, are we outside? You know, I don't know. I don't know. You got any?
Well, I mean, we have a yearly tour that we do down south to the Gulf Coast that is, you know, obviously we're not doing. And we have a full band that we take with us, and we have, you know, sound and lights and all of that. Within the studio, we probably could put 100 people in there easily for a workshop or a clinic or something like that, but we wouldn't do it. So I think if we do anything, we would look at the artists that we have coming in that we're presenting for something like that and really figure out cabaret style how we're going to separate everybody.
Yep.
And I think we're going to do that for a long time. As far as other live gigs, local gigs and things like that are concerned, it means something to us to be a certain distance from the audience, not only because they're breathing on us, but just simply because we're going to sing out, and we don't want to put someone, in that position right now. So I think we're going to wait it out for a little while longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Carry on, Robin.
Oh, I was just going to say, we had a few tech people that were excited to do this outside show in Morris. Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah.
And they had to shut it down because neighbors complained, and the zoning board said nope, and they were booked through November.
So sad. Oh.
So that
Are
was
they going to finish out the year or no?
No, done.
They are?
They are done. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
This is neighbors, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't know they were actually going to quit right now. I thought they were going to finish out the year. Wow.
I don't think so. I heard that they had to just cease and desist, because neighbors were complaining. But I guess what you do is if you're zoning, you're like, okay, well, let's see what happens. And then you got complaints, and then you're like, okay, well, we got complaints,
Well,
But,
you never know until you try.
But they were so meticulous in how they separated people.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, they were.
I know they were.
They were boxing people out.
Exactly. That was a significant technical challenge.
Yep.
Not simply from spacing people out, but being able to put on that kind of a show in the middle of a field, and light it and sound and all the stuff that you probably experienced from various places that you've had to play.
Yeah, it's a big undertaking.
Yeah,
exactly. Just to be able to stage that and to make it safe as well.
Yeah.
So
can I jump in quickly because I have here's another exclusive. I'm producing two. I do a lot with CT Comedy Theater in Hartford, and I'm producing two outdoor shows in Bushnell Park coming up soon, and that's been a feat along these lines that we're talking about, is figuring out the logistics. CT's been closed since March, and we're just starting to kind of find new things. We've done a couple of outdoor shows. We're finding that putting our performers in masks and miking them has been working, which is interesting because it is improv, but keeping them also distanced and setting rules of like, don't touch the other performers, that sort of thing. So it's been so we're figuring out, I'm working with Julia, the president of that theater, for these two shows that are coming up, and it's been a feat.
So when will they be?
Oh yeah, so we're doing a family-friendly show on the 25th of October. I think that's at 4. There's going to be stuff on Facebook. I'll pop it around and post it up. And then we're doing an adult show on Halloween. I think we're shooting for 7 o'clock in Bushnell Park. So
okay, so we'll make sure to put our show out at 7 o'clock on Halloween, and we'll get a different crowd.
Maybe we should change the date, Steve.
Maybe we can change the date. We'll communicate. We'll communicate. But we can't change the date of Halloween, unfortunately. But
I know.
But there we go. This has been great. We've gone slightly over time, but that's part of the course with what we do here. I mean, I think we could go on talking for a lot longer. I'd like to invite you all back to.
No, thank you.
Well, I wasn't really talking to you, Matt.
Oh, okay, all right.
But I'd like to invite you all back at some point to. We're looking at maybe having some specials that focus on particular areas of the performing arts. We have one coming up, I think, in November, which features some of the tech guys that we just mentioned, to see how things are going for them. So I'm sure we'll hear all about the business at Morris, and we'll maybe look at having group of musicians on together. People from more the business side of the arts as well is something I'm keen on doing. But we really would like to have you back. Let us know how you're going on, and also come and watch the show. Either watch it live or watch it on Facebook once it's posted up there. We will post the show up hopefully tomorrow, maybe by Wednesday. The show will be posted up in its official edited form. I don't cut anything out, but I do put some nice music and titles on.
I feel like I'm not going to be in this at all.
Oh, there we go. It'll be Matt who. No. So thank you so much, everybody. I know I've had a blast.
Thank you.
And I hope you have too. And I hope everyone on Facebook has also enjoyed our show and continues to enjoy it. We'll be back again same time next week to keep the ghost light on, and we'll see what's happened with COVID and restrictions and creativity. I think you'll all recognise that on the whole, people in the arts are optimistic, pragmatic, but optimistic, and there's a lot of community to support everyone out there who's struggling. If you are struggling sort of with mentally or emotionally during this time, pick up the phone and talk to someone. Go on Facebook, reach out to the rest of the community. The arts community really will support, and they'll find ways to help you through whatever it is that you're going through at the moment. So that's my little sort of public service announcement on that.
Who can I call, Steve?
You can call me. Yeah,
Okay.
you can call me.
You
But
can email me. I've switched my name just for you. It's my
oh,
name.
there you go. Fantastic. So thank you much, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you again next week. So all that's left for me to say goodbye and say good night, Robin.
Say good night, Robin.
Bye, Robin.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Mother.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care now. Bye bye.